with Geometry Dash 2.206 being released, now people are wondering what else is going to be added to 2.2 before we basically go on to the full crazy mode of adding 2.21, which is going to include explorers and many delayed big features again to the game. So for this video, I came up with some very neat and small features that I would love to have myself in Geometry Dash one day. These things are features that I personally think that they're going to make the game a lot better, and they're usually very small features that I think could be added in matter of a day or two. So let's jump into my list of the top few things that I would love to have in Geometry Dash. By the way, what do you guys think of my awesome tray? Look at that. So the first thing I would love to have is the ability to search for levels depending on which update they were released on. And I think that I'm gonna start here by basically improving this whole searching system, because I think it's pretty good, but I do think that there are a lot of improvements that are still needed. A lot of like really small things that can change a lot of things. For example, if I want to play a level that was specifically made in 2.1 and released in 2.1, in here maybe there could be a filter to filter these levels out, and then I can search with these buttons in here. And we know that this is something that is not going to take RobTop that long, because all of the levels that are currently on the servers already store in which update they were uploaded, so that is totally not a problem. Maybe a slider in here that basically can filter on which update you want to search the levels for. And the second thing is, for example, if I have here, I want to type X-Critical Challenge and I search, it's gonna search by the most liked, which is something that I maybe don't want. Maybe I want to search this and have the most recent. However, as of right now, there is no way to search for that. I want to see, for example, the latest level that is released that has this name. I could click on here, or if I want to see the latest rated level that has this, I could click on there, and so on and so forth. I think you guys get the idea of this one. I think this could be also very cool. And another thing that would be cool is to have these things actually work, because some of them just don't work. For example, if you click on Mythic, you're gonna see Mythic. However, if you click on Mythic and Legendary, you're only gonna see Mythic, which is not that very cool. So having the combination of these actually work would be a very nice thing as well. And another thing while we're at it is to have the ability here to, as opposed to having to select or enter the song ID, we would be able to select the song via the song library. For example, a button like this, and then you can search for whatever song you want, and then maybe go Sky, and then you can use, and then that would be basically like filtering levels that have this song used as one of the songs that are used in that particular level. And another thing, coins. Maybe you want to have a level that, maybe you're like searching for a level that had only one coin. You can't do this because it's going to show you what, it even shows you ones that don't have coins. Okay, here's another proof that this system needs a lot of reworking. So yeah, a combination of these things would also be very cool. And now let's move on to the profiles. It would be very cool to see how many people have followed you. So in case you don't know, you can follow a creator by clicking on this, and then perhaps there should be a way to see how many followers each person has, and perhaps a button in here that shows you the people that you yourself have followed, because in here you can check levels by people that you have followed. However, it would be very cool to have like a list of the people, because what if they haven't uploaded any level, you know? Another thing that would be really awesome is to have, okay, this is an interesting one because it's gonna change the main menu a little bit. Even though I really love the main menu right now, I think it would be very cool if icons in the background could have a chance to come from the right, and also there could be a ground up there. I don't know if it would be called a ground anymore, probably like a ceiling, so that ball and spider can move up and down. That would be very cool. Another really small feature but really effective would be to have no trail. You know how there's this fire or rainbow or whatever you want to choose? If a feature of like just a new trail that basically disables the trail behind you. This is super duper easy to add, just a blank texture for the trail, just like this one for here, and that would be very cool. And now I want to move on to the editor, because the editor is probably where I spend most of my time in GD if I'm not like suffering an extreme demon or something. But something that we definitely need to change is how some triggers just don't have transitions. For example, the color trigger, or not transition, it's called easings. You know how there's an easing? The color trigger, the very basic color trigger, does not have that. It's always linear. So it would be very, very cool to have that. Another thing that a lot of triggers lack is simply duration. You know how the color trigger literally has the fade time? Things like the time warp trigger, it just has the time mod. You can just set it and then it instantly sets that to be. However, another slider for time would be very cool, and for easing, that would be really, really cool. I'm not too sure how hard this would be, but especially with the time mod trigger, because it messes like with the song and stuff like that. So I hope it's not that hard, because in the end it's just a graph that you gotta get the value of from the easing. And the edge trigger does not have a time. I think time for the edge trigger would be very cool, because sometimes you're just gonna instant edge, which is not that very cool. It would be cool to have the time. I'm pretty sure that a lot of the things that I'm mentioning right now are things that we're probably gonna have in the future, because I don't think RobTop even intended these things to be so lacking of small features. But because he had to rush this whole thing, I'm assuming this is why such basic things are like lacking from these triggers. And the alpha trigger also does not have easing. And also, why can we not type here? And why is the slider bigger than the one down there? Like it just doesn't make any sense. And also another thing is that when you click on scale, you should definitely be able to type in here, type a number in here, because if you want to have 1.01, you're gone for it. It's over for you. You're not going to be able to do that. But yeah, just numbers being able to be typed here and here would also be very, very nice. And also generally, just everywhere where you have numbers, you should always have the ability to type there, as opposed to having a slider or a like arrows too. I think this one has it. Yeah, this one doesn't even have arrows. You can just type it. I think for the advanced random trigger, it should be just like the sequence trigger that has these arrows to make it just simpler, because usually you want to do 1 and then 2 and then 3 and then 4 and so on. And then in the sequence trigger, you can do that very easily because of that arrow. Or another thing that would be even more epic is to scroll. If you can scroll with your mouse wheel, then it basically increases or decreases the number. That would be awesome. That wouldn't be available for mobile players, but for PC that would speed up a lot of process, like I'm pretty sure. And also, you might have seen that some triggers just don't have any value outside. So for example, the edge trigger has a 0, and this is basically like the target ID, and this one is of course the channel ID or the group ID, but this one does not have anything. And it would of course make a lot of sense to have the time mode displayed in there, and for the advanced random, perhaps how many groups there are or something like that, because this random trigger already has this system where this is like a completely different setup, where we have this divided line. This is like 2 different values being displayed at once. And the area move would be also nice. The target group ID and the center group ID perhaps like displayed on top of each other. Same with the arrow trigger, for example. Maybe we can tell on which channel you are gonna switch, or the rotate, or the zoom, or the static. You know, all these things I don't think these are gonna take that much time. It would just be cool to have all of these features that I'm mentioning to kind of finalize the game, to kind of like give it that last little bit of taste to make it like perfect, you know? But of course, there's always things to be added, so yeah. And another, oh my god, this is something that I really, really want to have for Particle System. And I'm actually very, very interested to know whether RobTop is even going to be able to do that or not. And it's to have the seed. You know how sometimes you have stuff like this, for example? You see how this is emitting? It's like always random. You guys see that? If I increase this one a little bit, you can see that it's always random. Every time the particles go in a random direction, they have a little bit of a random speed. Overall, the direction is linked by the angle. That's like the variation of the angle, or like the playtime or the freedom that this particle has. You can choose in here within the angle. It would be cool to have seed. So you can enter the seed, and this is really important. For example, if you want to have, let's say you want to have a big explosion, something like this perhaps, and let's make it really big like this, right? And then on top of these, you also want to have a particle that has, let's say, exactly, this is actually a really good idea. I kind of like this. 45 45. You want to have the exact same movements for all particles, but you just want to change the texture of it. You want to kind of rotate it by 45 degrees, so this way it would look like you have a completely new different texture that looks like this, which is basically going to be emitted through this. Now it's all like random. You guys see now exactly what the heck I'm talking about. I can even make this like a lock, and then you can see that it's always random. The direction is always random, the speed is random, because you set it in here how much randomness you want to have. So a seed would be very cool and also very useful. And also, wait, let me see. Wait, actually, I haven't checked this. Maybe this is fixed. I've heard that if there is something, for example, like a, let's say I choose this one. This one is on group 2. Then I'm gonna animate to when I touch this in platform mode. And this one is on animate on trigger. Now, if I touch it, it's gonna start animating. You guys see that? And boom, starts animating. However, if you do -1 speed, which normally would do the following, it would do the exact same animation, but it would do it backwards. You guys see that, how it's like the exact opposite. So let's try it out. If this is fixed, that would be very cool. It's not fixed. Yeah, so this is something that we should also have. The ability to trigger animations even if their speed is -1 or a negative value overall. And last but not least, a very small bug fix would be to basically, if you have a shader, it's sometimes when you place a shader, the grid is going to be on top of objects. So if I remove this, it's going to be back there. You guys see? And now I add the shader. You can see the grid is on top of the block, which is not that very cool. I think now you guys can see it. Yes, you can. That's so bright. Annoying. And that's actually kind of neat though, I gotta say. Oh, yeah, we're gonna get wave in platformer mode very soon. So yeah, that is going to be very interesting. Anyways, that has been it, guys, for today. Let me know if you guys would like to have a episode 2. You guys can comment down below what features you would like to have in 2.2 in the future updates, like a very small one. And also, I will be streaming in a bit, so make sure you tune in as well. And yeah, join my Discord server if you want to see a gauntlet, not a gauntlet contest, it's a X Creator Goal challenge contest, which is going to be very cool. I just started hosting it now. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys.